Sir, what is actually happening is that we are collecting money from the private sector, which has a saturation limit, because we do not have unregulated economy and we do not give any blanket permission to make profit, and there are certain regulations that money is not adequate to meet our expenditure. Not only that, a part of that money and those resources we have to give to the public sector to meet its losses. Now, this was not the scheme of things, and this was not what we bargained for in the first instance. Now, here in the Constitution, nowhere in the Industrial Policy Resolution has that been envisaged. Public sector is very important and the social commitment is there, and the purpose of the public sector is there. Sir, I can understand that if you run schools or hospitals or medical centers, there can be a deficit, but nobody said that there should be deficits in a steel making unit or in a cloth making unit. That is not the way to run a welfare state, and that could not have been the scheme envisaged by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So, sir, I submit that the correct and the proper way to meet this deficit is to increase our accruals from the public sector undertakings. Here, sir, I want to refer to the long-term fiscal policy announced by the government in December 1985. Now, the first question that arises is whether this policy is still followed in the absence of the government saying that the policy is no more valid, or announcing any other policy or a new policy. This policy is very much valid because this is a policy for 3 years, and one of the postulates of that policy is that the taxation rates would not be changed for 3 years. When there is a demand for the reduction of rates or for any other change, the finance ministry says that the long-term fiscal policy prohibits it and that they stand committed to it. I think this policy has been there from December 1985, or was it from December 1986 when it was announced? Anyway, it was announced for 3 years. Now, sir, let me spend a few minutes and illustrate what that policy sought to achieve. Sir, in that policy itself, which is the government's own document and has been printed by this governments and issued by this government, it is said that the balances from the current resource will be negative, that there will be negative balance from the current revenue during this financial year. Para.
Subscribe the channel for regular shorthand and stenography videos.